This video is actually not a very happy video.
Wow.
Hello and welcome to Tommy's Reptiles. I'm currently sitting in the corner of my reptile room where my green tree monitor got stuck and lodged inside the wall. I recently got a pair of green tree monitors and I was keeping them inside the same enclosure, and then I realized one of them was eating, but I never saw the other one eat. So I decided to separate them, keep them each in their own enclosure. The one specifically that got stuck in the wall, I had one of those universal rock backgrounds in its enclosure, and I thought I stapled it well enough where I couldn't hide behind the background, and it never came out. I never saw it come out. I didn't see it eat, so I decided to rip that background out. And right when I was ripping it out of the wall, it jumped out, jumped on my shoulder, jumped off my shoulder onto the ground, ran away. I was chasing it everywhere, and then it ran into this little crack in my wall. And for those of you guys who didn't know, my reptile room has just recently been destroyed. Well, like 5 or 6 months ago. My refrigerator had a leak in it, and then it sopped through the wall in the reptile room. All the baseboards got soaked, everything got destroyed, black mold was growing, so we had to rip up all the drywall and all that stuff. And so when this monitor escaped, there's all kinds of cracks in the wall. Worst case scenario for a reptile to escape, but yeah, so it wedged itself right into the wall. And his tail was sticking out. Luckily, that meant to me that he hit a barrier and he couldn't go further in the wall. But I didn't want to pull him out of the wall because his claws could be stuck in something, or he could be holding on. If I slowly yanked his tail out, his arms could break, they can get dislocated, and I just didn't want to do that. Right off the bat, this situation caused me such a large amount of stress, and I can't imagine the high level of stress that the monitor lizard felt. Probably 100 times more than what I felt, because he thought that I was a predator trying to eat him. So at that point in time, I decided the best course of action would be to rig up some kind of trap, or maybe find a way to coax him out. For the first trap, I took a piece of Tupperware, wedged it on its side, cut a hole in the top of it, and then took a styrofoam cup, cut a hole in that, and then duct taped that to the wall so the lizard would go through the cup into the Tupperware. That obviously didn't work, so I ripped it off the wall. And then the next course of action, I got this bendy gutter from Home Depot, and then I taped that to the wall with a cup, and then I had it routed right into its enclosure, thinking that it's just gonna walk right up that gutter into its enclosure. So on the third day I showed up to work, I was pretty bummed. It was all doom and gloom. I felt like I had no hope. I didn't know if the monitor would ever come out. And then my friend at work, Heather, she asked ChatGPT how to set up a trap to coax it to come out. And then I immediately went home, followed those directions, and what do you know? Within an hour, the monitor came out, went right in the trap, and that's what you see right here. At certain points, I really thought that I was gonna lose this monitor for good. I thought it was just gonna either die of dehydration, starvation, be too cold, maybe breathe in some toxic fumes that are in the wall. And I just, at one point, was losing hope. And then when I walked by the room and I saw it was in that trap, you could hear in my voice, I was just ecstatic. I couldn't believe it. I had an adrenaline rush. I immediately turned on my camera because I had it in my hand and I wanted to film the whole process for you guys. But I ran over and then I grabbed the entrance to from the wall to the trap because I didn't want it to go back in there and get wedged in the wall again. I squeezed that as hard as I could, and then I thought I was gonna run up the tunnel and go into the enclosure, but it was just staying in the trap. So I started ripping open the trap, and then it actually hopped out of the trap onto the ground, but I was able to grab it real quick and then put it in the enclosure, and I was very thankful, and I feel lucky that I was able to get this monitor back and out of the wall because that was bad.
Wow.
And for those of you, many of you who keep reptiles, you know, stuff like this happens once in a while. Stuff just is out of your control, and it was very stressful for me and way more stressful for the animal, but I'm just so glad that I was able to get it back out of the wall and into its enclosure. Thank you for watching Tommy's Reptiles.